Everybody. I'm Hillary Atkin from the Atkin Report, and I'm so happy to welcome Andrew Marshall from The Voice to this edition of Hillary's Happy Hour. Andrew, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you? Excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to congratulate you on making it into the top 17 on The Voice on Team Nick. And you have had such an amazing journey on season 20. Why don't we rewind to your blind audition when you performed John Mayer's Gravity and Nick turned for you right away? What was your strategy going in compared to what happened on the stage in real life?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to me. I mean, I've watched that back a lot and just like, I was like, oh, if they're gonna turn at the part where I do this in the song. And I wasn't and like he did turn in like the second line of the song, and I really hadn't done anything vocally that was, it was just, me singing, which is cool. It's cool that someone just likes your voice the way that you sound, but I hadn't even gone up and done like the gravity. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that'd be a cool moment to get people to come in, or some of the belty stuff that I did towards the end of the song. So it was really cool. I mean, like I was like closing my eyes and you just look up and you're like, oh my gosh, it's Nick Jonas. So it's like it was a very surreal moment for sure. And then you spend the rest of the song, you're like, all right, can I get anyone else to turn? Like you're just like trying to, but you have that overall feeling of like relief, like for the rest of your song, pretty much just after you get one turn. So
Well, also, John Legend, like right away, he goes, yeah. Like, I really, as a viewer, I thought John was going to turn as well, but he was technically the first one to respond.
yes, I do remember that. That was cool. It's cool seeing that back because like you can't hear that really audibly when you're on stage. But yeah, watching that back was like he's like, oh, I was like, okay, John, you didn't turn. Like
Andrew, you have said that you had wanted to be a Joe Bro since you were about 10 years old. So let's talk about what it was like to be mentored and coached by Nick Jonas.
it was awesome. I mean, it's true. I mean, I have this really funny little anecdote of like singing. My sister had one of those iHomes that had like the microphone. So I plugged my iPod in and I listened to Burn It Up by the Jonas Brothers and sing it in her room when she wasn't around. So I loved Joe Bros growing up. Absolutely. It was so cool working with Nick. I mean, getting to work with him on two different occasions, obviously switching over to Blake's team for knockouts. But I really, admired, the advice he gave me during the battle round. I think that was really helpful for me because that song, I love that song, but it's a very high song for me and it sits high the entirety of the song. So it's like I needed to have that, like those little intricate, you know, technique things fixed to just really make sure I was like on it the whole time and not expelling too much air or getting pitchy and just like hitting those notes. So he had some really, really good things that they put out on the show, just what for tips for that kind of stuff. So that was it was really cool. And I just think, and something that I learned throughout the whole thing was just like his attention to detail is really, really cool. And it's something that, even though I've been doing music for a long time, this is like the first time I've really been in like a really professional place where I'm dealing with really professional artists. And so to have that kind of like mentorship of like, oh no, this is how I prepare my music when I'm going to go sing a song. Like, I'm like, oh, I've never thought of it like that. And like getting to take that with me is really invaluable.
Well, you mentioned this, but Nick did let you go after the battle rounds and you went to Blake and then Nick stole you back. How did you feel at that kind of roller coaster going on?
It was pretty wild. I mean, all you can do when you go on stage is, you practice and you go out there and you do your best. And that's all I've been trying to do throughout the entirety of the competition. And with the battle, I felt really, really good about my performance. And, me and Rain both wanted to go through and I wanted us both to go through. So, it was kind of a win-win for us. It was kind of like, it was a little weird because I was like, oh, well, I mean, it's one of those weird things is that, like you're really, really happy and I wasn't disappointed in the results at all. But then you're also just like, oh, well, did you not like what I did? Or what was the rationale here? So you do some like, kind of moments. But overall, I mean, it was, awesome just because we could both go through and, in that battle round, you get so close with your partner. So it's like, you want both of you to go through, and like that's the whole awesome thing about steals and saves is because you have that opportunity hopefully to do a good enough performance for both of you guys to go through. So yeah, but hopping back and forth was weird. I mean, like you never know what to expect. I was content staying on Blake's team. I was like, oh, that's where I'm gonna be. That's where I'm gonna go. Like whatever. Like Nick Jonas too. Like me and Blake are taking it all the way. Like, you commit to whoever believes in you and whoever wants to work with you. And I think that, that's awesome. So.
Well, talk a little bit about the camaraderie that develops amongst you and your teammates. You were on, like you mentioned, two different teams, but also about all the artists competing on The Voice. What was it like for you?
Oh, I mean, honestly, that's probably one of the best parts, if not the best part of the whole experience, is just getting to be surrounded by a ton of like-minded people that are just trying to do the same thing as you. And it's not as like, I don't know. I remember going into blinds, I was so worried it would be like a ton of people with like really big egos and like, oh, I'm better than you, this and it's like not that at all. Like everyone was like, oh, this is a really cool opportunity. Like, let's hype you up. Like, oh, what do you do? Like, let me show you how I do this. Like, it's all that kind of stuff. And, people are really, selfless in that regard. And it's just really cool to develop those relationships because, I swear everyone's been hearing this since they were younger, but you always want to surround yourself with people that are like that same, drive, that same level as you in terms of what you're trying to aspire to do. And I've never felt more sure of that piece of advice until I came here, when I was just surrounded by so many people whom I was just inspired by and like happy to be friends with and happy to be, going along and pushing with, just getting better together. So.
Well, Andrew, talking about being inspired by people, let's talk about your experiences with Snoop Dogg and also Darren Chris.
Yes. I remember when I saw Darren Chris, I was like, I mean, I said it, I was like, I love Darren so much. I grew up watching him on Glee and kind of following him around as he, off of Glee and stuff like that. I just love his voice. His voice is so good. It just sounds so awesome on so many good pop music tracks. So I was really, really pumped about that. And Darren is just a very jack of all trades kind of guy. He does acting, he sings, he, does all of that guy, writes music, songwriter. Like it's just, he's like that Renaissance man, in the industry, which was super, super cool to just like get his input on stuff and to meet him because I love him. And then for Snoop, I was like, I was blown away. I was like, Snoop Dogg? Like they're always telling you, they're like, you're gonna know. You're definitely gonna know who it is. I'm like, really? Are you sure? Like, I hope so. That's like the worst thing I'd be terrified of. Um, but yeah, he was awesome. And I think that like the fact that Snoop has worked on so many different genres of music, he just gets music. Like it's not just like maybe like in my head I know him as a rapper or something, but like he just gets music. And that kind of input when you're just trying to figure out your song is so valuable. I mean, he had such good things to say about my song. He was just like, man, just connect to the lyrics. Like, remind yourself who you're singing this song for. Like, that's all it has to be, and just focus on that. So he was awesome. And I think just watching through the knockouts, seeing all the advice that he gave to different people, like he just has that creative brain that just it brings you up a notch when you're working with him. So.
Yeah, he was incredible to watch as a viewer. So it must have been amazing to be in his physical presence and hear that advice. But Andrew, you have described yourself as a survivor, a smiler, and a songwriter. How has your voice experience added to that?
Totally. I mean, you know, long story short, I've always loved music growing up, but then, when I got diagnosed with leukemia, that kind of shifted things for me. And it helped remind me that this is something that I should pursue. I want to pursue my passion. I want to, help change people's lives with the music that I create and the songs I sing. So, this going on a show like this just allows me to increase that reach to people. And I haven't really had that opportunity to really share this story with too many people. I've been able to share it locally and through like Relay for Life and those kind of events and stuff, but this has been the really first opportunity where I can be on a national stage like this and connect with so many people. And the support that came in and the stories that have come in through DMs and stuff, like it's just been so heartwarming to me, because I'm just trying to be strong and be vulnerable and be honest about what I've been through, so people can know that they're not alone in that. And it's really, yeah, I mean, it's only increased that. It's connected me with so many people, and it makes me want to lean more into telling people about that kind of stuff and being open and honest about it, because it's a scary thing to be vulnerable. And I remember I was interviewing with another someone for an article, and one contestant that I really connected with was Anna Grace, because she has been through a similar kind of situation, like a life-threatening kind of situation, and we were both so worried. We're like, well, how, like, we should, like, what if we cry, like, what if we do this, what if we that in the interview, and we just don't, like, because you overthink and you're like, how is this going to come across? And then we're just like, no, we just got to be us, and whatever comes from that, you speak from the heart, and that's going to be the most authentic thing to do. So it's opened so many doors in terms of just, like, that kind of, you know reach to people, and it's just so cool. And so I'm so grateful for that above all else, just to be able to connect with more people and spread that kind of message.
I'm sure that will continue, Andrew. We're wrapping up our happy hour, but I want to thank you so much for taking time out to be with me. And I want to raise a toast to your continued success.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Cheers.